Hopefully audio is working. Seems to be. Hitting the live button. I've hit the live button, Brandon. We should be live. Should be good to go. Yeah, I think we're live. I think we're good to go. Guys in the chat, let me know how everything is looking and sounding. It'll be greatly appreciated. For those who do not know, this is a Nintendo podcast that we tend to do Sunday nights or Monday nights. One or the other. Depends on the situation. But it happens at the beginning of the week around 8 or 9 p.m. There's some fluctuation, but I let you know ahead of time. Anyway, we're going to be talking about Nintendo. I'm on this restart. My friend, Brandon, used to be What About Nodnarb, which used to be What About Nintendo. But he's Brandon, and he's cool, and he's here.
I am myself now. I've become something more.
You've evolved.
Yes.
You've evolved into
back to myself.
Being you. Yeah.
Yes, truly an evolution for the ages.
Yeah.
I'm here, and I'm excited to talk. I've done so much research. I'm actually super hyped about the video leak, past and even Nintendo stuff. But I'm just they're gonna be talking about the Nintendo stuff because that's what I've had time to research, and that's what the podcast is about. But
indeed it is.
Cool stuff.
Indeed it is. Thank you for teasing the topics already. So we're gonna be talking about that Nvidia leak that basically has leaked Nintendo Switch 2, for lack of a better name, because, well, we don't know what the name is.
Or at least a version that they were definitely working on at some point.
Something. They're definitely working on something. So we're going to be talking about that, and we're going to be talking about the Kirby Demo a little bit as well. And we're going to be doing a bit of a Nintendo Switch retrospective. We're going to be talking about the first 5 years of Nintendo Switch. We kind of talk about the future all the time. I think maybe this time we talk about the past for a little bit. But obviously, because we're talking about Switch 2, we're talking about Kirby, there will still be that as well. But that's the general sort of plan for the evening. I'm just gonna kind of let people roll into the chat here. You know, I did tweet this out, but I didn't tweet this out. It's been hours, so maybe I should tell people, hey, we're live. I'll tell people we're live, that way people know, hey, we're live.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
I thought we were ninjas. We're just trying to get in here and not let people know we're live.
Right? Why would we tell people that?
Stealthy.
No.
We don't want people in here. Get out of here. Watching us? You creeps.
Yeah. What am I going to say in this tweet? We are live now to discuss Nintendo.
That is true.
The last 5 years of Switch and the next gen Nvidia leak. That's a good enough tweet right there. That's it. There he is. That's you get like an organic look at my thought process when tweeting. We are live now to discuss the last 5 years of the next gen Nvidia leak. Not the next Nvidia leak. I don't know what that one's gonna be. Maybe 5 years from now when Switch 7's coming out. All right. So let's check on the chat real quick here. Guys, make sure to share the stream, like the stream. That'll all be appreciated. I did link Brandon's last video he made, Once Upon a Time, which is an interesting take on metal and kind of gaming music at the same time, right? So check that out. It is linked in the description below. But I did see that Guy You Don't Know, DE Fox, and Natsu, and Having Hope 5 all told me that everything is looking and sounding great. So for that, I thank you all. I'm very much appreciative, and now I know that things probably sound and look relatively okay. So thank you.
Unless they are the biggest trolls in the universe.
Yeah, their job is to wait until my mic is not working and the footage is just like completely blurry, and they're like, yeah, everything's great. Everything's good. The whole show is just completely irreparable, can't be watched, can't be heard. I doubt that. I think you all are looking out for me, and I am very much appreciative. So let's just say hello to everyone in the chat as people roll in. Cool playlist. Hello there. How are you? I'm doing okay. You know, life is always chugging, and I'm chugging forward, pushing forward. We're moving ahead. Things are coming. Things are happening. When will they happen? How will they happen? That remains to be seen, but there are things happening. That I can tell you. They are happening. Cool Playlist asks, Andres, are you going to talk about all Switch exclusive games since 2017? I do not intend on making this a 7-hour podcast. Actually, I don't even intend on making this like a long one. It's probably gonna be a relatively short one because we're doing it at 9. And full disclaimer, reason we're doing it at 9, one, I like having Brandon on, and Brandon usually can't do Sundays right now. And also, I got out of work an hour ago, and I have to get up for work tomorrow, like around 7-ish, 8-ish, 8. Yeah, I have a late shift this week, so I get to get up at 8 a.m. But basically, I work like 11, 12 hours a day. So yeah, time.
Where is it?
So in other words, the podcast is probably not going to be a 4-hour podcast. Probably not a 3-hour podcast. Probably more like 90 minutes to 120. We shall see. Kind of depends on the flow of the conversation. But we will be discussing the 5 years, and maybe we will mention most of the big games to some extent. We will be doing that because it's going to be a bit of a retrospective. So don't you worry. We'll be talking about it. So looking here, Mario Kart. I'm excited for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC coming March 18th. Right? We're pretty close. Yeah. We're like a week and a half away. I've been looking forward to that. I really want some more Mario Kart content.
You get 8 tracks in the first pack, right?
Yeah. Yep. 2 Grand Prix. 2 Grand Prix. It's just nuts that we're getting 48 once everything's said and done.
It's crazy.
Now the caveat is they're all remakes. And they seem to be made by a different studio, which is a smaller studio, and they seem to be less detailed than the base content for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But we'll see what the final product looks like. And they're still putting the tour tracks, which to me are basically new tracks, because I didn't really play tour, and having tour is like a mobile game, right? Having it adapted for
hours.
And then also having it adapted for actual Mario Kart 8, like a real Mario Kart game.
Just made better.
Yeah, so not saying Mario Kart Tour is bad. It's great for what it is, but yes, it's
genuinely awful.
Different situation. So I'm very excited about it, and we're not going to really talk too much about that today, unless you guys have some interesting questions about it or something crazy happened. But that is coming soon, and I am excited for it. Not soon. Nice. We had higher temps this weekend. We went from 42 on a Thursday to 79 Friday, Sunday. But other than that, work has just been getting more and more stressful. Good luck, buddy. Push through. Yeah. Push through. We're getting through the winter. Although right now, I gotta tell you, I'm not in the cold right now, and it's great. It's nice being able to walk outside with a t-shirt and shorts in the 80s.
It was 80 yesterday, and then today it was 50 with high winds. So it was kind of coldish if you were wearing just shorts and a t-shirt. But it hasn't been that cold except like a week ago when it was getting freezing. But now it's getting hot again. The weather is a roller coaster, and I don't enjoy that.
No. I like roller coasters though. I
do enjoy roller coasters, but
yeah,
not roller coaster like events that are not roller coasters.
You like roller coasters when they are roller coasters. You don't like roller coasters when they're not roller coasters. That makes sense.
Exactly.
I can appreciate that.
Deep logic here.
Absolutely. Birdman Senpai in the chat. Hello there, friend. Thank you for modding. The Triple J Zoo. It may be sacrilegious to say, but I think I'm more hyped for Fire Emblem 3 Hopes than Xenoblade 3. Whoa. Oh my goodness! How dare you have a reference?
Oh my god!
That is, to your Brandon's point, different from ours. What is this? You're right. It is sacrilegious. You should feel perfectly justified in your opinion. You are entitled to it. That's totally fine. I do think it looks pretty cool. If Age of Calamity is anything to go by, if you're a big Fire Emblem fan, especially a Three Houses fan, this is cool. This is great. I don't think you should be. That's fine.
Yeah.
Now, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, though. Oh, that's for me.
I just don't care about Warriors games, so it's like a game I don't care about at all versus a game I'm super excited about. It's like my second most anticipated game of the year.
Yeah.
Not really much of a competition there.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Wow. Now I'm thinking where's the rank in terms of my most anticipated? Because Xenoblade Chronicles 3. If it was last year, it might have been my second most anticipated game. only behind Metroid Dread, and not even because Metroid Dread would be better than Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but just because we've gotten Xenoblade, Metroid. We haven't gotten Metroid, right? Yeah. They're both probably kind of comparable, actually. Although I think I don't know. I really liked Dread, so I don't know. They're both be really good. But this year, we're getting Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and it looks like significantly better than Legends Arceus, which they're both coming out in the same year, one at the beginning, one at the end. So we got that going on. And then there's still the hope for Breath of the Wild 2. Nintendo hasn't delayed it. We don't really have reason to expect a delay. And correct me if I'm wrong here. This actually might be big news. I probably should have put it in the title for the podcast. I didn't. Oh well. I'll update the description later. And I want to confirm this because I might be mistaken. I might have just saw it in passing and like sort of misinterpreted. Brandon, do you know what I'm referring to yet? Are you gonna complete my thought here? Okay, it rhymes with Goon. Okay, Splatoon 3. They revealed the box art for Splatoon 3. Okay.
Yes, I saw that.
Now,
nice.
What was interesting is I thought I also saw a release date. Maybe I'm mistaken.
There was a release date for when you can pre-order it, which was like June 15th or something.
No. Both.
There wasn't a release date. I didn't see the release date for when it actually came out. I assume there is one though.
No, I think Nintendo took it down. Because I remember liking something.
When I saw it, I noticed it specifically said when you could pre-order it, and I was like, well, when is it released?
But I also saw them saying I saw them say it's coming out in June. So that's where I'm kind of freaking out here. And it looks like the tweets are taken down.
Pre-order, well, okay. I found somebody who took the same information. Apparently pre-orders begin on, what would this be? This would be May 14th? Yeah, May, okay. Oh, my brain was dying there.
Okay, so there's an apparent tweet, and I don't have it anymore.
But it is coming in June.
Maybe I see that the thing is I didn't take a.
Yeah, they pulled down the tweet, so.
It might have been fake. It might have been fake. And honestly, it should be fake because the tweet was suggesting that Splatoon 3 is coming out in June, which honestly doesn't make any sense. Because if it was coming out in June, why would they not tell us that during the February Direct? Especially when they confirmed both Mario Strikers and Fire Emblem Three Hopes in June as well.
I'm saying that it might be fake.
I think it's fake. Yeah, I think I got bamboozled, which is why I wasn't super gung ho about it. That's why I said, hey, I'm not 100% committed to this, but I saw something in passing. It seemed really cool. So does that mean the box art is fake?
Twitter actually recommended it to people.
That's yeah. So
real.
Twitter thought it was real too, or for some reason.
Yeah.
Probably because it just caught fire. Now, is the box art fake as well? I guess the box art is fake too.
I'm thinking everything about it's fake.
And it's a real. Let me show you what the box art looks like because it does look pretty lit. Like.
Well, the box art says adults only on it, so I'm assuming it's fake.
You're probably
the rating on it is A.
You're probably right. Now the screen is. I understand you guys can't see anything right now. Just bear with me.
There's nothing really to see. Apparently, it's fake.
Okay, well, it looks cool, right? And it definitely fooled me when I was looking at it late last night without really thinking right before it passed out.
Yeah.
So,
it's about what happened to me too.
Yep. Anyway, it's fake. Glad it's not an official topic. There we go. We're moving past it. That's it.
Boom.
We're done. Anyway, yeah. I thought it would have been hypothetically crazy if Splatoon 3 was coming out in the same month as Mario Strikers and Fire Emblem Three Hopes. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Both Fire Emblem Three Hopes and Mario Strikers are two fairly prominent Nintendo published games, and there may be other little things in there, but if you throw in Splatoon 3 smack dab in the middle of that, like, that's... I'm not arguing that there has to only be one major game per month. No, obviously not. June has 2. But when it's 2, and then there's a third one that's likely going to be one of the top 3 selling games of the year, that's a stretch. That's when it's a stretch. I think there's a limitation, you know what I mean? I don't think we're going to be in a situation where Nintendo's coming out with a major release every single week of the year. We're not going to have 52 AAA games to play from Nintendo. That's just not how it's going to work. No, I don't have the money for that, nor the time. So no, that's not happening. Now, could Splatoon 3 come out in July or August? I think that's probably a reasonable expectation because they told us summer, and if it's not coming out in June, what are the other options? So maybe like early September. They kind of sometimes go a little bit past this season sometimes.
I doubt it. It will come out that late. I think they really want it to come out in the middle of summer when people are off on summer break where they can play with all their friends. Yeah, you're right. Nintendo Prime in the chat. What's up, buddy? Monday is the new Sunday. Sunday is the new Monday. I don't know. It just whenever things can happen, that's when they're gonna happen. I mean, we used to be Monday all the time, and then it was Sunday, and then we moved it back to Monday, and now we just do what we need to do. Who knows what's next? Who knows? You guys on your toes. Yeah, actually, and I'll say that I don't know if it's good for me to change the time every single time, but I'm glad that when it does happen occasionally, people are still like, yeah, I'm gonna watch. This is cool. So for that, I appreciate that. Thank you for being awesome fans who still watch the show whenever it happens. So thank you. So yeah. Anyway, Triple J Zoo is saying in the chat, Switch 4K, calling it here with MVG. Modern Vintage Gamer? Or referring to something else? Maybe. Switch 4K, what do you mean? Like a Switch will be 4K? The name will be Switch 4K? Yeah. What are you saying here? I just saw a guy you don't know just said, oh no, he's on to us, guys. That's right, I know you're just trying to bamboozle me into not having my mic working. I know. Yeah. Obviously, no, I'm joking. But let's see here. Hello there, ASAP Rel. How you doing? I see you right now. Your name is Rel, so how you doing? Alrighty. So we'll get back to the chat in a little bit. I feel like it's a good time to actually start one of the topics because I was talking about earlier how there's only so much time that I'm going to allot for tonight's show. And there's a lot to discuss still. So let's start off with Kirby. Okay. We'll talk about Kirby for a few minutes. And then we'll jump into the Nintendo Switch 2 leak. And then we'll do our Switch retrospective. Does that seem like an appropriate order? Yeah, seems good. Very good. Let's do it. So, I played that Kirby demo. And let me tell you something. I was very happy to see that there are 2 difficulties in the demo. And obviously, I picked the hard one. And also, perhaps obviously, if you understand what Kirby is, wasn't that hard. No. It's more like normal and super easy. Maybe so. Maybe so. I'm hoping there's an additional difficulty in the final game. I don't know. I haven't actually seen any of the previews, by the way. Maybe, yeah. But I will say that traditionally, both Kirby and Yoshi games, they're pretty easy to get through, but if you go for the secrets, the extra unlockables, that's where the challenge is at. So hopefully it's like that this time around as well. The fun's more in the exploring, less in the grinding difficulty. But this game is less platformery, it seems, and definitely it feels almost more action adventure, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. And playing through the demo, it was very fun. The environment was fairly interactive. Visually, the game is quite stunning. Now, Brandon, I just want to harp on how you and I were basically 100% spot on with what Kirby was going to be before it was revealed. We were like, you know what? They should probably make an isometric Kirby that's somewhat reminiscent of 3D World. And that's pretty much what they did. The camera, not fully controllable. It basically allows you to angle in certain directions to see things, but that's kind of it, just like 3D World. It's sort of like a pseudo behind the back, but top down at the same time sort of thing, isometric. And you just go through areas. Now, there are a lot of boundaries, right? So it's not like there's a lot of free open exploration. So it's not an open world Kirby game. And I would say it's even more limited, at least from the demo, than even 3D World. Now, at the same time, 3D World had a lot of just emptiness around it. Whereas True. Kirby is more like a world. So the empty space feels like you should be able to go there more than just a void of nothing. Yes, that's a fair point. In 3D World, there weren't as many boundaries because if you would go off the platform, you would just die.
Now, but there were some times where there might be one platform near another, and there might be a high wall, and there was a little bit of freedom of exploration there, but I feel like might be surpassing Kirby and the Forgotten Land. But also to your point, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a visual stunner. There's a whole world that they are depicting there, and at least in the beginning of the game, there's pretty much almost a straight route. There's some variation with what you can do with the demo in terms of progression, okay. But I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing. It is what it is, and
right. I think a lot of people are expecting like Mario Odyssey, but Kirby. But even from the initial trailer, if you look closely, it was pretty obvious it was never going to be that.
No, yeah, I agree there. And again, we were thinking 3D world like, not Odyssey like. Maybe it's even more limited than 3D world, but it's a lot closer to 3D world style gameplay than it is Odyssey style gameplay, like a lot closer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But, there's a lot of neat little things, right? Like, there's a lot of, like, trash and, like, pebbles and things that you can break and interact with. Like, it's not, like, a completely dead environment. And I already mentioned earlier, the visuals, it's a very pretty game. There's a lot of pretty moments. Not even, like, just the entire game is pretty. Like, it just is.
Oh, yeah.
And, something that I actually was appreciating were because there's two types of transformations, right? There's the typical copy abilities. You beat an enemy, you take its powers. Now what's cool about that is that you can those powers can be upgraded, and in the demo they let you try some of those powers when you beat it once. So that's really cool, actually. So there is actually a bit of depth there, which is fun. But then there's these other abilities that are sort of Kirby taking over a random sort of device, like a car or a vending machine.
Full mode.
Yeah, and it actually offers some sort of platforming element, and not always. Sometimes it lets you do something different. Okay, but I would say it's more towards platforming rather than combat. But
usually changes the way Kirby
there's a blurring of that. Say it again.
It usually changes the way Kirby moves in some fashion.
Yes. Absolutely, that is 100% correct. It will affect how Kirby moves to some extent, and they're meant for just sections, but they're fun because they do vary up the gameplay. There's oftentimes little puzzles with them that are very fun. Like there's one where you can possess a cone, and the cone you can use it to like spike down on things, and then there are pipes, and they have cracks. When you crack the pipes, you see water shoot out, and it looks very pretty, by the way, and you go into the water, and it takes you to another area, or another part of the area, and it's cool. So there's some variance there to the gameplay. It's fun. The combat seems to have a little bit more depth than maybe most Kirby games. I'm not saying it's like super in-depth, but there's some level of depth there. There's a few different move combinations. It's not just the exact same attack, one attack per ability. There's a little bit more variation there. And Kirby can somersault and dodge around a little bit too.
Attacks for your abilities, so you get more depth as you upgrade them. Correct.
So it's fun. Like the game's pretty. The cutscenes were comical. It's a fun experience. So I'll tell you that, unless reviews come out and say the game is complete garbage, I'm probably getting it. Like I think, and actually I don't think they're gonna be bad, because I played the game. So. I can tell that it's not gonna be the kind of game that's gonna review poorly. It's not. Like unless like after the first section of the game it just all falls off a cliff because they rushed the game out. That's not the case. So I'm willing to bet money on that. This is gonna be a pretty good game. Is it gonna be game of the year? No. Is it going to be one of the greatest games of all time? No. But is it going to be a fun game that we're going to remember? I think so. Now, again, there is that one concern, challenge. Is it going to be challenging enough to be engaging? I'll tell you that the world, to me, was engaging in and of itself. Seeing that, experiencing that was fun. So,
yeah, I think the exploration will be nice, especially since it seems exploration is directly tied to having more abilities, which can enable you to have more fun, since you can find, I don't remember what they're called, but you can find a certain currency that lets you upgrade your moves, obviously, which lets you do more things, which is more, I think, having exploration where that directly affects or benefits the gameplay in some way that's more than just stats is super involving to me. I really enjoy that. So I think just that mechanic alone will make me want to explore the world and play through the game to see what kind of abilities I can get and see what happens when I upgrade my stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to sort of go through. Now,
I think there's a lot more parameters of fun than just, is this game hard? Which can be fun, and some games, if it's to the point where you don't feel like you're doing anything, that can be boring. But I don't think it's just a matter of, is this game difficult or not?
yeah, I in general like playing challenging games, but there is more to that than to having fun in a game. Like, the game is charming. The game put a smile on my face. It made me giggle a little bit. I feel like that says something, you know?
Yeah.
And we didn't touch on the boss fights. There's one boss fight in the game, and it was cool. Like, this Kirby game has some pretty cool action elements. Like, this feels like a more action-oriented Kirby game, and that is pretty exciting. I'm not saying I want it to be like Kirby Rambo, but you know, maybe a little Kirby Rambo is not too bad. I like that. And I know there's a town that offers more like quests and things and expansions to things.
Right.
And that's going to vary up the gameplay more as well. So, I think things are looking up for this.
The best part of this game is the fact that Kirby can wave at NPCs and they'll wave back.
Bye. Yeah, right?
That's the best part of the game. That's all you need.
Yeah. So Kirby and the Forgotten Land, from what I've played, is very charming. There's an attention to detail. It's visually stunning. It's fun. It's kind of fast-paced. And I feel like those are all pretty good things. So, look into it.
Yeah.
But let's check with the chat here, and then we'll move on to the next topic. So there is something here that I saw a blurb on, and I didn't get to, so forgive me on this. Rel is adding me. Brandon, maybe you could fill me in on this. How are you feeling about the NSO missions and icon editor? I saw like a couple thumbnails on it. I didn't even look into it. I probably should have.
I don't really know much about it. Well,
is there an article maybe I can read on it real quick?
Maybe. I know that you can buy, I think you use platinum points, and you can buy like outlines that can go around your profile pic that are different decorative things. You can also just buy new poses for different characters and stuff. You just buy a few things that change up your profile, and that's it. I don't know what the missions are. I assume that's just like the normal missions that you can do to unlock more platinum points. Like, there was a lot of missions, and like every app they release, they have like new little things you can go in. It's just like achievements that you can do that get you platinum points. I'm not sure what they are or how to get them, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking for like an article on this, and I'm not even.
I don't really think it's much deeper than that, to be honest. You use platinum points to purchase things that you can use to change your profile pic on the Switch, and you get the platinum points from achievements.
Seeing an article now. Missions and rewards for a new player because you can now get Nintendo Platinum points using the online service, and then redeem those points for exclusive rewards. Access new missions and rewards. Simply head over to Nintendo Switch online app. Oh, there's an app. I gotta go to the app. It's available April 3rd. Okay. So these are like icons and things that you can put on your Nintendo Switch account, I guess, or app. Okay.
You can just put them on your actual like Switch profile picture, I think.
Okay. I mean, that's something. That's cool. Not a big deal, but that's neat.
It's not really much of anything.
Yeah. All right. That's something. It's
if they had something like wallpapers or backgrounds.
That would be crazy. Now, if I can put wallpapers, that would be a big deal. It's neat. It's not a bad thing. I may look into it, but not like jumping over the moon for this either. So, let me see here. Charles Shadell, yep, it's platinum points, physical goods, and other goodies. Great. Okay, cool. Suburban Senpai is saying there's four missions that you have to do to get platinum points to redeem for different profile backgrounds and characters. Alrighty. Okay. Alright, so just a little bit more, few little things you can do there, so that's neat. But let's dive into this Switch 2 situation. So Brandon, you have been doing the research. I know the sort of surface level information. I didn't even bother to read the hardware. I just know that it's like a significant leap, and Switch games will at least look pretty good and run pretty good on the system. By pretty good, I mean like we're gonna play games at 4K. 4K. If you're only listening, I'm doing air quotes. But it may be all the same. So, Brandon, have at it.
All right. So I guess
before you go, crystal clear. We're talking about a leak. Nvidia had a situation where a whole bunch of information there was leaked, and that information includes what appears to be, correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, an SOC for a Switch, a new piece of Switch hardware, and that hardware is so significantly powerful that it's pretty evident that's for the next generation.
That is a way you could sum it up. Essentially, there was a reference to the API used for the Switch. I won't explain what an API is, first off, because I don't fully know, and second off, it would take way too long, even if I did know. But essentially, it's kind of like something for the operating system, I guess. Different features that are supported in the dev kit and things. But the API is called NVN, I believe. That's the one that you use for the Switch. All the Switches that are out right now use that API. But there is a reference to another API with way more features called NVN2. And this does indeed look like it is for the Switch. I mean, they wouldn't call it NVN2 if it wasn't, I don't think. It is all of the stuff inside it seems to be for mobile processors, so that makes sense. I haven't looked at everything inside of it, honestly. I kind of took a cursory glance and then went and caught like the major information that people had pulled from it and then compared that. So there's some level of sources in between my information and the actual information, so there might be some sort of mistranslation of information going on there. Just keep that in mind. Just a little disclaimer. But yeah, they found this. It supports DLSS. The current version is 2.2. That's the one listed.
For those who don't know, DLSS is
working
magic. And this magic,
essentially,
what it does is that basically if you make a new, spanking new box that plays games like a Switch 2 that has this magic, the DLSS, it allows you to take a game, let's say that's running at a low resolution, so it can perform better and have more graphical features. Say they hold it to 720p, you press the DLSS button, and that DLSS button is magic, and that magic may also be described as artificial intelligence upscaling, which basically makes the resolution appear to be much greater than 720p. Perhaps greater than 1080, perhaps maybe like 1440p, or in the most extreme scenario, 4K.
Right.
And it requires a lot less processing power to do that.
Right.
So you get a lot of bang for your buck there.
Power, which I will get into. If you want a better explanation, then it's literally just magic, but one that's not too technical.
Magic.
Essentially, it uses information from previous frames mixed with AI reconstruction to essentially fill in the blanks of pixels that are not being rendered. So typically this is done if you want to hit 4K. Typically you would reconstruct from 1440p for like quality mode on PC, or you could use a balanced mode, they call it, or performance mode, I think, actually, which is 1080p reconstructed to 4K. Mm-hmm. So a 4 times increase in pixel rate there. But they also have, and I think Switch will definitely use this extensively, or Switch 2, ultra performance mode, which can scale all the way from 720p to 4K which is 9 times the pixel count. It doesn't look nearly as good as the 1080p or 1440p upscale, but it definitely looks way better than 720p native. So yeah, a little bit more on DLSS. But to be more specific on the stuff we know about this Switch 2 leak, and we can go into that. Let me actually pull up the article again. So the references for the SoCs that are being mentioned are called T234 and T239. It's not really important what they're called. That's just what they are. And these are based off of Ampere, which is the latest graphics technology for Nvidia. It's what they have in their RTX 30 series line. It's the newest stuff on the market right now, till very shortly in the year when they come out with 40 series. But at the moment, 30 series is the best, which it is based off of that. But it's based off of what's called the Orin chip. The Orin chip, which is the most powerful chip they have at the market currently. So as far as when this will come out, I think the Orin chip came out last year, so I wouldn't expect this for another year at least. But we can get into that in a bit.
Yeah.
Want.
I mean, but basically, what's your interpretation of the hardware? Like, in layman's terms, assuming obviously they'll probably do an adapted version of this, right? So what we're seeing isn't exactly what the Switch will be, but the Switch 2.
Right.
But
it's just what these are based off of. We actually don't see the chip, I don't think. Some people think that we do see the chip that they're talking about. That's the one for the Switch. What I actually think they're seeing is what's called the Orin NX, which is a smaller version of the chip that has basically the same specs that they're quoting the weaker version that's going to be used for Switch has. I think that's what they're seeing. I think even that is not exactly what we're going to see in the Switch.
Okay. So is it going to have blast processing?
Blast processing? No.
Oh.
No blast processing.
Well, then.
There is reference or mention
that someone's going to have to bring back
that
the Game
it would.
Gear.
Yes. But that it would support ray tracing. I doubt
that does sound pretty crazy for a Switch to have ray tracing.
Technically, any Ampere chip is capable of ray tracing.
Mm-hmm.
It works with it, but you don't actually have to include the ray tracing cores, or at least have them enabled. So even if it does have them on the chip, I doubt they'll be enabled, and they probably will just remove it. I don't know. It depends on. I don't even know. I think they would actually probably just disable it to save on power, because obviously they're not going to want to make a new, unless it's a completely custom chip set. But anyways, no, I don't think we'll have ray tracing. I wanted to put that out there real quick, because the leaks mention ray tracing in the title, and that's just not happening, guys. It's just not. I don't see it. Maybe they could do some crazy stuff with ray tracing for sound or something that doesn't actually cost much, but I doubt they would even do something like that.
Okay. So basically, we're looking at what eventually will be suggestive of kind of next generation Switch, right? And you're saying this chipset will be available maybe next year, maybe, right? But that doesn't even mean necessarily that the Switch that's just mean the technology may be available. It doesn't mean when the Switch 2 will come out, right? When do you does this information change your perspective on Switch 2 at all? What is it? Does it change anything?
It's definitely going to be a powerful chip, I'll tell you that. As far as when it will release, I kind of still think it could come out next year, to be honest. I don't see why it couldn't. I have a feeling they've been working on this version of the chip for years already. I mean, they have to have been. Like, you got to keep in mind that, like, even though this stuff is just coming out on the commercial side, that doesn't mean that Nvidia hasn't had these chips and versions of these chips that they've already been working on for way longer.
Let me
like,
ask you a
working
question.
versions of them.
Let me ask you a question. There's a lot of analysts. Maybe a lot is subjective, but there's a few analysts out there. If you look up articles on Switch 2 and stuff, like, you'll see articles coming up about analysts saying, "Oh, we predict it'll come out early 2024 at the earliest." Why?
I mean,
why
good, I guess.
do people think that Nintendo would prefer to release their hardware in the beginning of the year as opposed to the holiday? I get the Nintendo Switch came out in the beginning of 2017, but they didn't want it to come out at the beginning of 2017. They would have preferred it if it came out holiday 2016. They had to wait until everything was ready. The lineup, the Breath of the Wild versions being ready, and the Switch all being ready, which is why they came out March 2017, not holiday 2016. And they definitely wanted it out as soon as possible because the Wii U was dead. They didn't have anything to push during that time. So they absolutely wanted it out for the holiday. The only reason they didn't was because it wasn't ready. It's that simple. I'm not saying the Switch itself wasn't ready, but the entire situation that they wanted for its appropriate launch was not ready. So why do people think that Nintendo will just do that again? Like, it's not the same situation here. It's not like they have to be in a rush to get out their hardware, right? So, for example, if it's not ready for holiday, then why? There's games coming out. Like, the system's still selling. Not say it can't end up being coming out early, but I feel like Nintendo would prefer it to come out for the holiday. Like, that's what makes sense. Switch Lite, when did it come out? The second half of the year. Switch OLED, when did it come out? Second half of the year, in October. Like, they don't put it out right at Christmas or right at Thanksgiving, but it's like within a few months of that period.
Leave a little bit of space.
Right, so they can have a few more shipments come in, right? So, I mean, like, how often does hardware come out in the beginning of the year? It's pretty uncommon, I would say. I could be mistaken on that, but just off the top of my head, when I think about hardware releases, they usually come out in the second half of the year.
Yeah, usually.
Switch is the exception, but again, that was a unique situation because the Wii U was dead. Nintendo was in a situation where they needed to get it out as soon as possible, and it wasn't ready for the holiday, so, it ended up coming out early 2017.
They couldn't wait all the way till holiday 2017 because they had nothing else.
Right, exactly. And it was a heck of a year. And which will bring us into our next topic, actually. That's kind of where things sort of start off. So it's actually not a bad segue there, but we're not fully segueing because I want to cap off this idea though. If we're getting new Switch hardware, while I'm not saying early 2024 is out of the question, and I know in my video I suggested maybe like a window of late 2023 to early 2024, but in reality, what I actually think is that the next system could come out sometime between late next year, so holiday 2023, so let's say September 2023 to November 2024. Like, I think that's the window to expect it. Somewhere in that 14-month window, there will be a next generation piece of hardware that is a successor for Nintendo Switch, which is a large window. I get it, but there's a lot of variance.
Pretty large window, yeah.
Because it depends on where sales are at, depends on the world, because there's a lot of different things happening with the world, and then obviously when Nintendo feels it's ready based on those things, and then just games and R&D, packaging, marketing. There's a lot of variables there. But either way, I feel like late 2023 is not crazy because we're seeing like hardware every 2.5 years. So, and that doesn't mean Switch is going to be phased out because the Switch will still be relevant for at least a couple years into the beginning of the other system's life cycle. There will be a transition period like 3DS and Switch were, because there were 3DS games still coming out in 2019. So, it's gonna be interesting to see how things sort of play out there.
I think it will be even more of a smooth transition, just because I'm sure the next Switch will be fully backwards compatible with the current Switch. I'm 100% confident that you're going to be able to pop in any game that's currently on the Switch straight into the Switch 2.
And if they look and run better, that'll be awesome. Like, imagine putting in Breath of the Wild, and it's like, hey, this is going to be upscaled to 4K, and it's going to have a completely smooth frame rate.
Well, if you want to talk about that, we can go into that. The implications of backwards compatibility on the next-gen Switch, but...
let's talk about for 5 minutes.
As far as anything that's, like, not an update from the developer, it's likely just going to be down to, is there dynamic resolution? It will hit the maximum now, no matter what. Is there poor frame rate? Well, now it's whatever the max frame rate target was, consistent. That kind of thing.
It'll make a difference for a lot of games, especially a lot of like the sort of like big AAA port games like Witcher 3 and Doom and stuff. Like those games will look and run a lot better on
they'll
Switch
they'll
2.
run it actually at 720p instead of like 540p. So
yeah, it'd be nice. They'll look a lot clearer.
I have some more specs. I won't go into the more specifics. I don't think I need to for the podcast. But if you want like ballpark, like
sure,
how much more powerful this thing
is
gonna be.
No. Give like, well, what's the power boost we're talking about here?
Power boost, we're talking about.
It's over 9,000, isn't it?
Now it depends on how high they clock it. We're assuming that the chip it's based off of only has like half of the power limit that it's supposed to. That's just what the specs seem to suggest. But even with that, you're getting about 3 times the GPU performance, just straight. That's not including like DLSS, which obviously boosts that way higher, because for obvious reasons, because you can run at so much lower resolution. As far as like memory bandwidth, it's either 4 or 8 times faster, depending on which Orin version they go with. I suspect it will be the weaker of those two. But yeah, this thing's gonna be somewhere in the ballpark of like 6 times as powerful when you include DLSS. It's gonna be a big jump. And that's just in GPU and like memory bandwidth and things. CPU could be even more, but I don't know how much more powerful that will be exactly. But we're looking at a pretty beast, definitely a generation jump. And honestly, it could be more than that. We don't know yet. But I'm gonna say that's probably within the ballpark of what I would expect. Which, if you want to run games, like, I think this is kind of perfect. Like, 3 times the GPU, just compute increase. My thing is, I want to get games running at 1080p or 720p natively, so that DLSS can get that up there to a nice looking 4K. And games typically, I think with 3 times the graphical capabilities, like hitting 1080p will be easy, and you can definitely have room to hit 1080p and push up graphical settings there, and then let DLSS come in and bring that up to a nice looking 4K. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, when we see this thing, I think it's gonna be a beast for whatever Nintendo does, Like, if you think about the transition from 3DS to Switch, that was just a crazy jump,
Right.
If you look at it from Wii U to Switch, it's obviously a very small jump. But there is a lot of benefits. There's so many benefits to Switch that make it so worth it, even if you don't really factor in the minimal graphical jump from Wii U. But let's talk about Switch. Unless there's anything else you want to sort of speak on related to this Nvidia leak.
We can come back to it if I think of anything.
Sure.
else.
Actually, Joycey J brings up an interesting question, which we could maybe touch on before we move forward. And that's Joycey says, I wonder how much a Switch 2 would cost with those specs. What are we looking at here?
That's a good question. I mean,
You better get a credit
really
card
know.
and a loan and sell your kidney and your lungs.
If we look at like
and your
something like the
kids.
Steam Deck, you can come out with something that's ridiculously powerful even today. That's not, about 2 years from now at the end of 2023 or the beginning of 2024 or whatever. That's today. You can pre-order that thing right now. And the base model's only $400. And it has way more different features that...
Yeah, but is that the
bulk up
kind
that
of price
price
point
that the Switch
Nintendo's
doesn't
going
need.
to target? I don't know if they'll do that. Like right now, OLED's at $350. I expect that to drop.
Well,
I'm
not saying
I think
that the next Switch will
400.
target $400. I'm saying that stuff with specs, cutting
Comparable
technology
specs.
specifications, comparable specs today can be bought for $400, and that's not a mass-produced 100 million console selling thing. That's just Steam. That thing's gonna sell a couple million at most.
Your argument is that Nintendo can produce comparable hardware later at a more competitive price point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. However, they might. I don't know.
There are other things they can put into
just with
the
their
system that can jack
marketing,
up
they
the
might
price,
just come
right?
out.
Like there's the
Unless
Joy-Cons, for
they-
example. Like whatever they do next, that can jack up the price too. So they may limit the power of the hardware so they can package in other things and still hit like a competitive price point.
I don't think they need to. I don't think. Just with the way that would be developed, it's not like. I don't know. That's just not how it works. In my mind, just with a bit of how I know about how developing a console would work, and just like you don't just trade power for features necessarily in a linear fashion for money.
Well, for example, they might not put in as much like RAM. Wouldn't that save on money a little bit?
I mean, a little bit, but
they might not put in as much as internal
a
storage.
crucial feature like how many transistors or core counts your GPU has or something, or the amount of RAM you have for something like extra vibration or joystick, just doesn't. That would never be considered.
Well, I don't know. I'm not saying like that, but like basically, I mean, there's things that you cut or you put in that you don't think you need for the price where you're targeting, right? Like for example, Switch OLED, they didn't think they needed to put in 1080p displays. I
don't think the Switch 2 will have a 1080p display. I don't think it will use DLSS outside of docked mode, most likely.
I think they might even use this. Maybe they use even the same screen on Switch OLED.
Yeah, they might just use the same exact screen. They definitely could. But that wouldn't shock me, to be honest.
And people will be like, "Oh, Nintendo used the same screen as their old hardware." Well, I mean,
way better screen than on Steam Deck. I'll tell you that.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I would say that the very highest I could ever imagine Nintendo hardware would be 400, and I feel like even that's a stretch. I think if new hardware is actually coming out, I think we see a price drop to the current Switch models, and base Switch comes out maybe at $349.99.
Maybe. Oh, you want to know a great reference that's way more simple, and I think people will understand way more than my shitty 6x times power reference I made earlier.
Sure.
That has, if you look at what the Steam Deck performance is, and I think that the Switch won't be as powerful as the Steam Deck. The specs we're looking at put it definitely a bit lower.
Switch 2.
But the Steam Deck is essentially a portable PS4. It's a little bit weaker than a PS4, but it's essentially a portable PS4. Okay. You put DLSS on something that has mere PS4 performance, and you're essentially looking at PS4 Pro or better.
So we're looking at a portable PS4 Pro.
Well, I mean, that's in docked mode, to be fair.
It's a portable PS4 Pro when it's not portable.
It's essentially a portable PS4 that can be a PS4 Pro if you dock it. That's kind of the power we're looking at. But it's somewhere in between like Xbox One and PS4. It's not quite up to the capability.
Just trying to ballpark it a little bit. Hey, that sounds good to me.
And technically, the specifications are here for the GPU is a little bit less powerful than an Xbox One in terms of raw GPU compute. But there's tons of other factors like memory bandwidth is higher, things like CPU is going to be way stronger. So it's not like it's going to be exactly like that. It would be able to outperform PS4 in other ways. But in terms of just raw GPU compute, this thing will not be as powerful as the PS4.
Yeah, well,
but it will come close enough.
Nintendo games look pretty good on ridiculously old hardware that's portable. Yeah. So, you know, they boost that power by 3 to 6 times. I think that's substantial. So, I'm sure they'll make that look pretty good, especially with that fancy magic technique. The DLSS.
Yeah, DLSS.
Just basically makes everything shiny and sparkly. It'll be great. But let's transition to a bit of a retrospective here on just the Switch in the last 5 years. So, I think what makes the most sense is to go year by year, right? Now, do we want to start most recently, or do we want to start from the beginning? What would you prefer, Brandon? Are we going back in time, or are we moving towards the future?
Start at the beginning and move towards the future.
I like that. I like that. I agree with that. So, I think what's important to consider is where we were at before Switch came out. And I think it's worthy to, it's good to do that because it puts into perspective how good we have it now. And the Switch changed everything. People did not think Switch would be this successful. People were predicting maybe half as successful. And that's when, and even then, people felt like they're maybe being too optimistic.
People at the time legitimately thought Nintendo might go under. That's how bad the console situation was. People thought that they might just do a dedicated handheld only forever after the Wii U. It was bad.
Yeah. And I remember, there was a lot of discussion about what Nintendo was going to do. There were the rumors about it, Nintendo making a powerful home console. And then there were other rumors of it being like a hybrid portable device. And I was on the side of it being a powerful home console. And I just thought that there was no way that they would only have one device that they would focus on. And there would be no way that they would be able to have a system that would be able to actually have appropriate graphical powers for a home console substitute and still be a handheld. I didn't think that was a reasonable expectation of Nintendo. But that's what it was. We got that trailer, that Switch first look trailer, I want to say October 2016. And when I saw it, I was like, oh no, it's portable. No. At first, I was like, oh my god, that's Breath of the Wild. It looks incredible. What's that weird controller that guy's holding? What's that weird device by the television? He pulls it out. Oh my god, it is a hybrid device. But it looks awesome! So, I think the most important part about that first look trailer was the first thing they showed off. It wasn't the system, it wasn't the controller, it wasn't the crazy gimmick, it wasn't the casual motion control stuff, it was Breath of the Wild. Which, to this day, is one of their most successful games ever. It completely revolutionized the Zelda series. It is the winningest game ever in terms of Game Awards. And it's one of the highest reviewed games ever. And I already mentioned it's one of the best-selling games ever. Like
killer app at launch and a crucial help and a good launch.
Absolutely.
For the Switch, yeah.
But the big point here is that basically this is Nintendo's most impressive game. Even then, people knew it. That it was Nintendo's most impressive game. It was their first true foray into open world, and they kicked it out of the park. Hit it out of the park. Yeah, they kicked the baseball outside the park. They kicked it out of the state. At E3 2016 with Breath of the Wild. They went to E3 2016 with one game. This is all before Switch came out, right? Because there was nothing else for Wii U. All we had was Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild. Nothing else to play. Nothing else to be excited about. There's minor exaggerations here, but pretty much. And Nintendo's like, hey, we're going to talk about Zelda at E3. People were like, Nintendo is definitely done. They have one game for E3, but who stole the show? Nintendo. Who dominated the show? Nintendo. What game stole the show? Breath of the Wild. So then, fast forward to what we were just talking about, this first look. The first thing they show off is this incredible open world experience that everyone is mesmerized with. And it's running on portable hardware. That was the perfect way to introduce Switch, because it alleviated the concerns of gamers like myself, because I wanted Nintendo to still give me those incredible open world Zelda experiences, the thing I had been longing for throughout the entire Wii U period, which I was starved of. It's another thing to consider here. We didn't get a lot of big adventure games on Wii U compared to other previous Nintendo systems. That was another sort of issue for Wii U. But Breath of the Wild is what we were waiting for all that time. And then here we have these rumors of a portable system taking the place of a home console. So there's a lot of concern, a lot of fear that be true, and they just wouldn't look or run that great, because at that point, the idea of a home console also being portable was not really a thing. Like, yeah, there was the Shield tablet things, but not like anything Nintendo would do, right? And they showed
even like portable like PCs back then were not nearly as good. We didn't have the Steam Deck back in the day, and even like the more expensive models, they weren't as good as they are now. But it was just like portable gaming in general. Like, you pretty much played your phone, or you sucked it. You played, like, unless you played on the 3DS, obviously. There were previous Nintendo generations, but
yeah,
as far as bringing like console stuff for high-end gaming, like, unless you wanted to shell out over $1,000 for like a GPT device, you weren't getting it. But I do find it funny that you said you didn't know, or you didn't believe it was going to be a portable device, and you didn't know how Nintendo
back then
would,
my predictive powers were not very strong. That's when they still needed to develop.
See, I already knew, because I followed the rumors heavily, and I knew the exact chip and the form factor. Like, I knew everything about the Switch.
I didn't believe the Eurogamer report.
Like.
I knew of it. I just didn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it.
I knew all the tech specs and how it worked, so I knew like how powerful the Switch was gonna be, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. This is totally doable. It's like a Wii U portable, and then docked, it's a bit better. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, I kind of knew beforehand. So when I saw the Switch, all it was really for me was, oh, that's how it looks. Oh, that's how they're doing the detachable controllers. Oh, that's how they're doing this feature. And
right.
that feature.
Well, the other thing is that, like, I read the Eurogamer report back then, and it seems stupid when you read about it before it's actually announced. But when you see Nintendo present it and package it, and they open it with Breath of the Wild, they alleviate all your concerns. They show you, hey, look, this system can run the big open world games. This system is portable.
We saw
the system is sleek.
Of how easy it is to switch, and not that amazing dock.
Like that,
being able to pull it up and then it just instantly transfers. I remember people being like speculating that it was CGI, like it was faked, like it wouldn't transfer that quickly. Like you'd pull it from the dock and you have to wait a bit for it to no, it was real.
Immediate.
Like you just pull it, it's immediate.
There's like,
and then you plug it in and it's just as quick.
There's like what, a quarter of a second, not even. It's super fast. Yeah, it's incredible. And they sold us on that. They showed it. Like, there was so much to that trailer. It wasn't even just one the big point I made about Breath of the Wild, and to your point, the switching and how it was so seamless. But then they showed a Mario game out of nowhere, and it was an amazing looking 3D Mario game. People were like, "What is this?" And people were saying it was fake, and like you and I knew that it's not fake. Why would they? No, that's real. You dunce, that's real, and it obviously was real. It's Mario Odyssey. But then they showed off a new Splatoon. And then they showed other things like NBA 2K on the system. People were like, what? Then they was like, oh, look, Mario Kart's going to be on here too. It's like, cool, Mario Kart, it's awesome. So they're going to bring that over. Awesome. But then they showed Skyrim.
Yeah, and that was the big one.
That was huge. It was so huge because when you're coming from the Wii U, the idea of getting a major third-party game, no. Even on the Wii, like something that wasn't possible. What was even crazier, it wasn't just Skyrim, it was the remastered version of Skyrim with the better visuals and such. And it had additional Switch additions as well. And people didn't want to believe that was real either. People didn't want to believe Skyrim was real. People didn't want to believe Mario was real. To your point, they wanted to believe it was all CGI. I mean, for the trailer, probably was not CGI, but like
was.
But they were
based off of real things.
Based off, yeah, exactly. What it actually it was actually an accurate portrayal of what it would be. And like all of those things were crazy. And what was crazier is that they announced in October they have a major presentation January, and they release Breath of the Wild and the Switch March. One of the quickest turnarounds we've ever seen for a console's reveal, blowout, and release ever. So this was crazy. It created a lot of momentum. Nintendo had a lot of big games going. They were doing something with this hardware that was not really expected by many. Or at least to be executed so well.
I think the cool thing was they had new features that weren't just gimmicks. They like completely changed like everything, and they did it without getting in the way of the typical core way you play games with a controller,
right?
With button inputs. It wasn't like the Wii where it's a cool gimmick and it changes everything about how the system works, but it's also one that completely just changes the way you play. And in a way that is a lot less core focused just in general for a lot of it. And it was just something that felt more forced or shoehorned. Like it's in a feature that you have... It's a lot less passive feature. It's a more active feature that you have to, put your entire game around. Switch's features are more passive. Like being able to take your Switch out and play it as a portable or docked, that's a more passive feature. Sure, you have to make sure like it works, but it doesn't really change your entire game philosophy or the type of gaming philosophies you have for that system. It just adds better features for the user.
Yeah, it was crazy how well put together everything was. Like, it's honestly, in hindsight, of course Nintendo was so successful because they put together, obviously nothing's perfect, but everything they did was incredible. They show off this new piece of hardware with a big brand new open world Zelda, a big brand new open style Mario game, a new Splatoon game, new Xenoblade game, a new there's a couple other interesting things, but it also included Mario Kart and ARMS and 1-2 Switch, which whatever, but also third party game, the promise of major third party games, and this hardware that is playing big open world games on the go. Not really. That was a big marketing thing for them, and this seamless switching mechanic. And to your point, how the Joy-Cons were like this ultimate Swiss Army knife. They allow you to do so many different things. It's a handheld. It's a home console. They can plug into like a little sort of grip, become like a standard controller. They can be used as motion controllers and do so many different things. They have the IR camera, and
they can be used as two controllers at once.
It's co-op out of the box. Nintendo checked so many things here. They were able to appease the casual market, the family market with the co-op out of the box, but also do it in a way that was seamless and slick, that would still allow you to have that core gamer experience. And that was actually their biggest selling point, just how great this is for the core gamer. Or the modern day gamer, however you would choose to refer to that sort of.
And then on top of that, they said, "Hey, guess what? Remember before when you had to buy two devices? You had to buy a home console, and then you also had to buy our handheld line. Screw that. It's 2-in-1. We're putting all our games on here. You're getting two systems for the price of one system, baby. And guess what? All of our games are now up to spec with the consoles. We don't have these smaller, very graphically." I don't want to say poor, but simple, 3DS or DS. We don't have our handheld versions of games.
They were giving us
they're all
home
the full
console
fat experience now.
That was the big importance of showing off both Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey then, because it was like, hey, look, and Skyrim. It showed that this system gives you the full gaming experience you can expect from a home console. So that was huge. And then, we launched with Breath of the Wild, and as we said, it's like one of the highest reviewed games ever. There's so much praise to that game. It's arguably, maybe not even arguably, maybe I could even say indisputable. It's definitely arguable. But Some people might even say, indisputably, the most innovative game we've seen in the last 5 years. Although Fortnite might be arguable as well for different reasons. But it's definitely an incredibly impactful game to the industry. One of the most impactful games we've seen in a long time. And then the year had other great things. They had Mario Kart Deluxe. They had Snipper Clips. They had Pokken Tournament Deluxe. They had Fire Emblem Warriors. They had Splatoon 2. They had, I didn't mention ARMS. They had ARMS. They had Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which was also crazy for the time. No one thought that they would mix Rabbids and Mario together in a full RPG experience. That was
going to be good.
No one thought it would be good, and it was good. It was great, even.
That E3, when they showed it off, must have been so good for the developers. All the attention being hate, all of a sudden, oh no, we love this. This is great.
Yeah, and actually, funny you mentioned E3, because at E3, what did they confirm to be in development?
Prime 4.
Metroid Prime 4, right? So, like, that hype, even though we know now it was delayed, but at the time, with everything that was coming out that year, to then confirm Metroid Prime 4 being in development, nuts. Might I add that Shin Megami Tensei 5 was also announced to be in development earlier in the year.
Also, during that E3, Pokemon Company came out and said that they were making the first home console Pokemon ever.
We knew Pokemon was on the way. We absolutely knew that it was on the way. So that was also a big game changer as well. So, yeah, significant stuff there. And there was another interesting thing. People didn't believe that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 would come out in 2017.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but yes.
I meant Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Thank you for the correction. And it did. It came out in December, shortly after the release of Mario Odyssey.
We were the firm believers. We held
didn't give up. We knew. We expected it. Even though it was clearly rushed, it came out on time.
Even though I can totally see why people would think that. And honestly, maybe it should have been delayed a little bit. But hey.
Right.
It still came out.
It still came out. So, the year was stacked. And I don't know if Nintendo could ever top that year. I don't know if they can. That's... Like, Nintendo came guns loaded. Like, they obviously were holding things back during the terrible Wii U times, making sure that once they were ready to come up with a new piece of hardware, that they would come and hit things hard. By the way, TC, I see your comment about my new background being clean. Thank you. That's like all it is. It's just full white. It's clean. There's nothing else about it but it being clean. So thank you. Much appreciated.
There you go.
Yeah, it's temporary, but it is what it is for now. Yeah, so 2017, like, it's just nuts. Like, it was pretty much the best case scenario. It's hard to envision a better case scenario. In fact, if it didn't happen, I don't think anyone would actually believe it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and nobody would believe that if you told them that was what was going to happen.
If you tell them the hardware and the lineup,
of 2016.
No, yeah, people would be like, okay, maybe we get Zelda on this new hardware. There's so many things that people would not expect. It all happened. Like, the idea that we would get a Xenoblade game, a 3D Mario game, and not just a 3D world thing, but actually like a proper return to form of the Mario 64 sort of format. Open world Zelda, a new Splatoon.
It was like three huge new multiplayer games within like a couple months.
Yeah, a better version of Mario Kart, ARMS, and all within 9 months. And that there would be some third-party games like Skyrim, and that it would be a piece of hardware that can run all these incredible AAA games, but also be portable. And do everything the Wii could have done and better. All in one.
Yeah.
No one would have believed that. No one in their right mind should have believed that. Unless they knew what Nintendo was doing. And even then, they probably would have expected some delays. But no, Nintendo made sure that everything went right in 2017. And we're seeing the benefits now because Switch it can't be stopped.
Nah. You remember, I think was it Furukawa or was it Kimishima who was president early?
Kimishima was the interim president.
Okay, yeah.
Until Furukawa came into power.
I think the one who said that he thought the Switch was going to outsell the Wii. And at the time we were like, There's no way.
And
That's
it has.
literally insane. And it did. It did that.
Well, yeah.
Almost. It's absolutely insane, bro.
Yeah.
From
crazy.
13 million to over 100 million.
And
Like,
with still not really slowing down either. Still not slowing down.
Nice.
So, now the Switch has an opportunity to perhaps become the best-selling piece of hardware Nintendo's ever produced. Right now, that title goes to DS at, I want to say, 154 million. It's in the 150s. So, will it get there?
Probably
We'll see.
not. I'm gonna be honest. I project it will probably hit. It will probably die out around 120, 230 million. I'm gonna say
200?
maybe a little bit higher than that.
Did you say 200?
100, no, 100, 130 to like 120 to
Well,
130.
right now, the Switch is selling about 20 million per year. So let's assume they slow down to 15 this year. Let's say they average 15 the next 2 years. That puts them at 130. But they're probably gonna still sell a Switch for a couple years after that. So maybe still another like 5. So I don't know. I 150 is a tall order. So it does depend on how well they maintain momentum.
They might
but
do it.
Yeah, maybe.
I have a feeling that when they announce the next Switch, sales for the Switch will die down significantly right after it's announced.
Like the thing is, Nintendo still has a lot of options. They haven't done the price drop, right? Like as you were, I guess you were alluding to that. Like it's not. There's so many options for Nintendo still. They're not even. They're so good. There's nothing to worry about. Like they're fine, but selling 50 more million is going to be tough. So it's not set in stone yet, but I do think it's still possible. It's still plausible. So we'll see.
It could definitely still happen. I'm gonna say it probably won't, but you never know.
The thing is, I believe they will continue to sell a Switch the same way Sony still sold PS1 and PS2. Like it's gonna be selling alongside their new hardware for a few
now
years.
with the PS4.
Right. Yeah, it's still gonna be selling. It won't sell as much, obviously, but still gonna sell. So it may hit it. Yeah. It just may take a long time before it hits it. But we'll see. We'll see. There's still things they can do. Heck, they could do the price drop this year, a year before maybe next gen. Price drop this year with all the games that they're coming out with. Crazy. But anyway,
I have a feeling they're gonna price drop next year when the next Switch comes out. Assume if it does come out next year. I think they'll wait for the next gen to price drop everything at once.
I don't know. That's another discussion though. I do see here that Guy You Don't Know added me and said something else that I think we kind of take for granted is that the Switch is not region locked. Another fantastic point because typically before Switch systems were region locked, which brought in limitations. But now if there's a game that comes on Japan or Europe and you're in the States, you can still play it. You can still get it on your system and it will work. So and you can do it digitally or physically. Either way, you can. There's a way to make it work without doing some crazy stuff.
Maybe Switch 2's big revelation is that online actually is a good service.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of things that Nintendo has done that's crazy, but that might be the one thing they can't get right. We'll see on that.
It's the final jewel they need in their Infinity Gauntlet.
But let's get into 2018. Inevitably, I think there had to be a bit of a lull after 2017. And I would say 2018, in terms of the amount of games and what came out compared to 2017, definitely pales by comparison. There were some things. I think Donkey Kong got ported over in the beginning of 2018. There was Mario Tennis Aces, if I remember correctly. So there are a few things, and they had DLC. They had DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which had a physical release. They had the DLC for Splatoon 2 as well. So both Torna and Octo expansion. So they had some interesting things there. But really, how things closed out, I think, is where it really matters for 2018. And that was in November, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, the first HD Pokemon games. They were remakes, so they weren't like game for going full out all out yet, but still, it was HD Pokemon on a Nintendo home console, which had never happened before. So big deal. and like an actual traditional Pokemon, like core series Pokemon that had never happened before. So that was a big deal. And obviously it was like, hey, they're now moving on to this. More Pokemon games are coming on, main line Pokemon games are coming on the system. And then they followed up with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which has now gone on to be the best-selling fighting game of all time. And a ridiculous roster and ridiculous stages and just an incredible game.
Yeah. That game, crazy. A new Smash with a new engine for all previous characters and tons of new ones. Oh.
Do you remember people arguing that Smash Ultimate was a port?
Yes, that was
annoying.
Yes, it was horrible. Because it was so obviously not true.
The thing is,
even when they showed the game, people were like, "No, look," I'm like, "It's clearly not."
Right, and I was right there with you. But thinking about it, there were things that made people think that. Maybe unfounded things, but still things. One was, hey, look, they poured over Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They should do the same for Smash Brothers. One of Nintendo's big multiplayer racer. Okay, they're gonna do the same for Nintendo's big multiplayer fighter. Obviously, right? That's what people assumed. I thought they would do that.
Yeah.
Before they revealed Smash Ultimate, that's what I thought they would do, because Smash for Wii and 3DS had only been out for like 2.5-3 years when Switch had come out. Yeah. So it wasn't like that crazy to think, because it was actually a fairly quick turnaround for such a massive game, right?
Oh yeah.
So that was another reason to maybe think it would have been like an enhanced port. So those people weren't crazy to think that. And then there were rumors from Emily Rogers, and I'm paraphrasing here, and my details may be slightly off, but there was a debate on which games would be brand new games and which games would be enhanced ports and which ones would be sort of in the middle. So she was relaying some of that information at the time, and there was some uncertainty there. And so there was an indication there was a possibility the Smash game wouldn't be a full-on new game. But she didn't know for a fact. But then they reveal Smash Brothers. They show it off. And, I mean, you and I both agree, it's obviously not a port. It's not.
Yeah, I remember, that's when I got annoyed, was when people started trying to say it was still a port.
But it wasn't beforehand, it was afterwards.
Right. It was after they showed it. But just because they reuse a lot of the same models from the Wii U version, they're touched up and they're changed, and the new lighting engine makes them look different. But they're essentially the same models. And people were like, see, clearly,
Let me buy that logic. By that logic,
Wii U.
Every Pokemon game since like Sun
By that logic,
support.
Almost every game ever
is
the same game as its previous title.
Yeah. Every project has some resources recycled.
Most projects have a heavy amount of shared assets.
Yeah, that's just how it is.
Yep.
So even remakes. Sometimes we define remakes as having been built up from the ground up from nothing, but that's not how it works. So yeah. But anyway, like Smash came out, it was crazy, it was incredible. And then there was a Grinch Leak, which in hindsight though, the roster now with all the DLC out is better than the Grinch Leak.
Yeah, totally.
It just took some time for us to get there. And we still got Banjo.
Yeah.
Still got Banjo, still got Rex and Pyra, sorta.
Still got them. Still got like every character I wanted.
Right, I got every character that I really wanted. Like once Pyra and Mythra were revealed, I didn't need anything else, and they still had some great characters after that. Yeah. They added Sephiroth. Oh my god. They added Sora. Like
craziness.
Yeah, it's just insane what they did with Smash Brothers. And it has gone on to become the best fighting game of all time. It has won an incredible amount of awards for a fighting game. And it's the ultimate Smash Brothers. It made good on its promise.
It's the best-selling fighting game of all time, isn't it?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Google it.
I think so. I was surprised by
best-selling fighting game.
Like, fighting games don't sell that well. Smash sold great, like...
Well, I think Mortal Kombat as a franchise has sold more.
Well, yeah. There's 11 of them.
Yeah, anyway, I looked up an article, it is. But, yeah.
Nice.
or it was in 2019, but I don't think anything's really competed with it. So, in come Dragon Ball Fighters. Anyway,
even Street Fighter 2 is only 17 million. And that game has like 12 trillion versions and 12 billion different releases on like every platform ever.
Yeah.
I think that game has like only Doom has more versions than that game.
Yeah, so it's just crazy. But I mean, is there anything else you want to say for 2018 before we transition to 2019?
No, that 2018 was just kind of what I expected. Like in 2017, I was like, "There's no way Nintendo like follows up 2018 is as good. Like it definitely has to be a slow year." And then it kind of was like the end. And Smash saved it all. Started a hype cycle that would continue.
Right, that would keep us hyped and speculating for years. Right, to this day. And now I'm arguing Fire Pass Volume 3 because I'm crazy.
You are crazy.
I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. Okay, hear me out. I don't think it's coming out anytime soon. I'm simply saying that if Nintendo can add DLC to Mario Kart 8, a game that came out in 2014, why can't Nintendo add DLC to Smash Ultimate a few years from now as well? Especially if they are adding DLC to their biggest selling games on their online and expansion platform.
Yeah, I mean, they could definitely do that. When the only reason I see that they would do that is for like the next gen Switch. If they wanted like to resell and repackage it again, even though it's backwards compatible, maybe they wanted to come up with a 4K update for it and add like some new DLC. But I don't think it'd be a whole Fighters Pass. I don't know, could happen, but I don't know.
Me neither.
9 times soon.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a while. If it happens, it's gonna be a while. But yeah, 2019 though. 2019,
much better year.
It's a pretty good year. 2019 saw the incredibly powerful, significant, uber extraordinary release of new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe.
The best game on the Switch,
literally
obviously.
My favorite game on the platform. Literally the greatest game to grace mankind.
And definitely the best 2D Mario game of all time.
Oh, absolutely. There is no other game in existence that compares to the extraordinary air and greatness that is the stupendous new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. We're joking. No. First of all,
I'm not.
NSMBU Deluxe, that's the acronym plus Deluxe, is solid. It's a solid port. It is, but it's I played it to Kingdom Come on Wii U, so you know it just wasn't exciting to me. But you know, that's how they opened up the year. It actually sold pretty well, and there are other solid releases that came out throughout the year as well. But the big stuff started with Mario Maker 2, which again, kind of weird considering that Mario Maker 2 is a 2D Mario Maker, which came out a few months after NSMBU Deluxe, but whatever. And then after that, we saw the release of Fire Emblem Three Houses. I'm going to get the order wrong, but there was Daemon X Machina. There was Astral Chain. Astral Chain is one of your favorite games. Fire Emblem Three Houses is one of my favorite games.
For sure.
Yeah. Solid, great games that came out then.
Astral
and Link's
Awakening, like my top 20, maybe definitely my top 50 games of all time. I don't know where exactly it ranks.
I don't know. I don't want to think about ranking right now, but I'll say that Astral Chain's a very good game. Definitely one of the best third-party games on the Switch. It's published by Nintendo, so you know it's kind of a thing. But then we also got Link's Awakening Remake, and we had the poor Dragon Quest XI's, which had been talked about for a long time to come to Switch at some point, and it eventually did.
Oh yeah, we knew about that. That was one of the first games we knew confirmed for NX. Yeah,
it was crazy. And I mean, Link's Awakening Remake, like it was the first HD 2D Zelda, and it looks pretty good. It's a remake, but still, it's pretty awesome. And then
we got Luigi's Mansion 3.
The Return of Luigi's Mansion series. Game. Yeah. Actually,
even more hype than
I played through it in 2020 with like one of my best friends, and it was like maybe my favorite co-op experience ever, or one of them.
Nice.
It was really good.
It does lend itself well to co-op.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's another game that was one of the first games that was leaked for the NX, was that they were working on Luigi's Mansion 3, and apparently it looked really good, and it had this new good engine, and the lighting was something I think at the time that they had touted. And yeah, I mean, it looks amazing. One of the best looking games on Switch.
Yeah. It just looks amazing. Yeah, it looks amazing. And then when it comes out after all that good stuff, what? More after that? Yeah. The first mainline proper new generation on an HD Nintendo console of Pokemon. Pokemon Sword and Shield, which saw a great deal of controversy. A lot of it came from E3 because they wanted to cut down Pokemon that would be in the main game so they could focus on their resources elsewhere, and National Dex, blah, 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 that and this. Point, I don't really want to delve into that, but it definitely was an element of the year. It definitely was part of the discussion. It definitely impacted the experience around Sword and Shield. You know,
the controversy seemed to have positively impacted the direction of the series. At least.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Potentially, we have no idea what their plans were before then.
Yeah, I don't know about that because they still are doing the cut Pokemon are still a thing. Like National Dex, it's just regional Dexes. So I don't know. And you could argue with the wild area that they were moving forward, and that was actually the really cool thing because about Sword and Shield wasn't that Sword and Shield was amazing. It's solid, not amazing, solid. And I argue the best Pokemon game of all time for the time. Like there's a lot of things it did that no other Pokemon had done beforehand, right? And it is like the second or third best selling Pokemon game ever, so it's pretty good. But point is, what they did there is that they finally had roaming Pokemon. They finally had these open areas to explore, and they had a controllable camera, which may seem like simple things for most RPGs, but for Pokemon, it was a huge jump, and it was just the beginning. And then they had the DLC the year after, and then with Legends Arceus this year, and now with Generation 9 and the leap that's taking, there was a direction that they were headed in, and we saw that with Sword and Shield as the beginning of it. And it was a big deal. It was a big deal. The games did pretty well, and they were pretty fun. It was a good time, I would say, at least for me. I enjoyed Sword and Shield. That was 2019.
I played it for like couple days and then dropped it, sold it to GameStop.
But you tried it though.
But I did try it.
You did try it though.
It was all right.
You think you can try Legends Arceus?
See,
I think you like it more.
The only reason I would try it,
it's very Zelda-esque. Very Zelda-esque.
Right, but I mean, I definitely want to try it. The only reason I wouldn't try it is if I just wanted to go straight into Violet and Scarlet. But I also kind of like the premise of Arceus, where it's pretty much based off of exploring and capturing Pokemon, which is like the biggest draw for Pokemon for me in general. So yeah. I might try that out as well.
Yeah, Scarlet and Violet, I mean, I think they're going to be awesome, but Scarlet and Violet's also going to probably feel more like a traditional Pokemon game, but with that open exploration that they did in Legends Arceus.
Well,
Legends Arceus has a lot of those action
elements.
Decent
story to pull me through. That will make it way better.
Legends Arceus has a solid story.
The story was negative. It was negatively good. Like, it wasn't even just competent. It was actively, aggressively bad to the game. I found it so boring, and I did not care. And I didn't even complete that much of the game. And I heard it got worse, so that made me not want to keep going. Just give me something that's good. Like, it doesn't even have to be mind-blowing. Just something that pulls me through the game. At least
I would say Legends Arceus is a solid story. I just feel like it needs voice acting for me to actually pay attention. But
I wonder if Violet and Scarlet will have voice acting.
I don't know, man.
We don't know yet.
I don't know. That would be a big surprise. They like to have like a big surprises like leading up, right? It's like so.
Yeah, I mean,
for example, Sword and Shield, they didn't even reveal the wild area or roaming Pokemon until E3.
Exactly.
So you know, maybe
like we didn't see the big kick of it until later.
Yeah, they just started off with this game saying, "Hey, this is gonna be the first fully open world Pokemon game," which is a big deal. But there's obviously more for them to show us. So we'll see what they do with that. But going back to the retrospective here. So 2019 was a densely packed year for me. The highlights were Link's Awakening Remake, Astral Chain, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Did I say Luigi's Mansion 3? That too, although I played in 2020.
Yeah, that one.
And those are like some really awesome games for me. 2019 was a great year. And it's also when we saw Switch Lite come out, which is very ergonomic. And, you know, it was another little cute revision there. But then 2020 happens. And 2020 was a strange year. Because in 2020, we didn't see a single mainline General Nintendo Direct. COVID occurred. A lot of us were sort of kept inside, quarantined in places, trapped there. You know, it was kind of fun for me because I was trapped with my friends for a long time.
Nice.
And Animal Crossing happened, and it was crazy.
It's insane.
Animal Crossing New Horizons,
it was like Pokemon Go reversed. Instead of everybody being
going out to play,
they were indoors playing Animal Crossing.
Yeah. The sales of Animal Crossing New Horizons is ridiculous. Like, Animal Crossing wasn't even a 10 plus million seller before. Now it's a 30 plus million seller. The series exploded.
Absolute insanity.
It was the perfect storm of people being shut in, and Animal Crossing, and COVID, and everything, and it was just like, everyone's gonna play Animal Crossing, and that's what happened.
Yeah, man.
That's what happened, and it exploded. And then after that, a few months later, we got Zuma Chronicles Definitive Edition, which was a pretty damn good remaster make thing. I'd argue one of Nintendo's biggest, most ambitious efforts there, in terms of, like, you know, redoing a game. Especially because they added actually, like, new content, right? Like, typically beforehand, Nintendo, whenever we get a remake from them, it's like, hey, we're going to make sure this stays close to the original. And we're not going to change the graphics that much. But we'll make sure the controls are better. And there you go, $60. But because Monosoft worked on this, they had a slew of quality of life updates. They made a game play and run a lot better. Visually, they overhauled a lot of things. The character models were changed to the point where some people didn't like it.
They changed so much, though, but like when they showed the original trailer, we thought it was a full-on remake because most of the assets that they showed in that initial trailer were completely new.
I mean, to me, it basically is. But yeah, there are some things left over. It's such a weird blurred line situation with that, which, by the way, we totally debated when the game came out. But, you know, it was still an amazing game, and it included an additional epilogue story, which offered like 10 to 20 hours more gameplay, which was just unheard of for a Nintendo remake. Master, whatever. Something.
Yeah.
And there were other things that came out the year that had additional content like that. Like Pikmin 3 Deluxe had the Olimar missions and such. But there weren't too many big brand new games that came out in 2020. We did get Paper Mario with Origami King, which I really enjoyed. Very good adventure RPG, action adventure RPG.
Still didn't go back to the Paper Mario roots, but it did something different, and it did it really well.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough.
Yeah, it was a fun puzzle sort of action fighter with some minor RPG elements. It was more of an adventure game. It was a really good one. And I really enjoyed it. Arguably my favorite game of the year. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is also pretty good, and then there was also Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Throughout the year we talked about, will Breath of the Wild 2 make it out this year? No, but there needed to be a major Zelda release, and there needed to be a major holiday game. And what came? Out of nowhere, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which has gone on to be the best-selling Warriors/Musou game ever. Warriors, Musou are interchangeable. It is, and it's just also cool because we got more Breath of the Wild story and characters and context, slightly different reality, but that's a whole other discussion. And it was a fun game because it added a lot of Breath of the Wild elements in there, and it introduced more people to the Musou style genre. And yeah, it was incredible. I think it actually, you know, considering how the year was and what we were missing out on, it was a pretty good way to sort of cap off the year.
Right. But before that, we also got, I don't think you mentioned Mario The remasters.
I
We
didn't.
got that.
Yeah, that's a
remaster
big
pack.
one because that's the thing that everyone was speculating on throughout the entire year, not believing it was real, not believing any of the industry insiders who had great track records beforehand. You and I believed it, but it started to get really weird because there weren't any Nintendo Directs. It was supposed to come out for the Mario's 35th anniversary, which was in September, and then we were in the month of September, still it not being announced, and we're like, well, what are we gonna do now? It's not. We're in September.
Not happening.
Nintendo did the unthinkable. They had a Super Mario 35th anniversary Direct. They announced the game, and they came out with it 2 weeks later. Unprecedented.
Absolutely insane.
It happened. Now, 3D All-Stars, not like full-on remakes, pretty basic remasters. The full opposite side of the spectrum compared to Definitive Edition. It is the foil to Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which both came out in the same year.
Yeah.
But it was 3 games in 1. And they still were enhanced to some extent, and I liked all 3 of them. I enjoyed the package. So, I don't regret what it was. It was 3 games, each enhanced slightly. And that was fine for me.
I mean, they made Mario Galaxy work on not the Wii, so...
Which is a nice little plus. They made Sunshine come out on something not the GameCube, which was also pretty nice.
2 things people didn't know if Nintendo was ever going to do.
And they did them.
And they did.
Yep. Mario 64 was a little awkward. Still fine. Like, they fixed the font and stuff. It's just kind of like, because it was like an HD, like you could see like some graphical issues more clearly. But still fun game, still played well overall.
Camera still could use work, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. But still, even though there weren't like a lot of big brand new games that came out in 2020, it was a fun year. 2020 was a good year for me. I had fun.
It felt like a really peak Wii U year, essentially. It was like the best that Wii U could muster is like the worst the Switch will ever do.
Yeah, you're right. Although I don't know, man. Like 2018 versus 2020. Obviously, 2018 had a much stronger close, but I feel like there are more games that I wanted in 2020 that released than I wanted in 2018 in terms of quantity. Obviously, Pokemon Let's Go.
May be true.
Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and Smash Ultimate are like maybe bigger and better than all the games but Animal Crossing that came out in 2020. But like, there's nothing else in 2018 that I'm like, man, that was the thing. Because I mean, Donkey Kong Country is incredible, but that came out on Wii U, so I had already played it, so it wasn't a big deal for me personally.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I mean, Mario Tennis Aces is a fine sports game, but also not like a huge deal for me. Tour of the Golden Country, Octo expansion, those are just DLC expansions. And on that note, we also did have the Sword and Shield DLC in 2020, which, big deal, because we never seen DLC for a mainline Pokemon game. We got it, and it was actually pretty good. So, there's that. But either way, I would say 2018 and 2020 would be the low years for Switch, right?
Yeah.
And then we get 2021. And in 2021, we had this belief that it would be like the biggest year ever because it would be the year after COVID. It made sense. Like there was like the up and down years, right? Like 2017 is the big year, 2018 is the dip year, 2019 is the big year, 2020 is the dip year. So we thought 2021 would be the big year, but there was something we sort of didn't take into consideration. That pattern of up and down maybe would apply if COVID didn't occur.
Right.
COVID did occur. So 2021 was like,
along with maybe the rest of the world, severely undercalculated the impact that COVID may have had. Yeah.
So what even released in 2021? I remember the second half fairly well, but what came out in the first half of 2021?
Bowser's
Right.
Fury.
Good. Yeah. Bowser's Fury and Bravely Default too. Both those games came out in the beginning of the year. And Bowser's Fury, to me, basically confirmed that we're not getting a new 3D Mario anytime soon. Alright? And it was really good. It was a really fun... I bought 3D World plus Bowser's Fury just for Bowser's Fury. The expanded content there. And it was awesome. New Mario experience, only like 10 to 15 hours, but it was a really fun 10 to 15 hours.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else came out?
I don't remember.
Go to Google.
Kirby? No. Yoshi? No. Kirby came out in 2018, which Star Allies was kind of a lackluster for.
Blech. Kind of a meh.
Yeah, what else is... I know about the second half. I'm just trying to remember what else was in...
Right. Monster Hunter Rise.
How could we forget? Monster Hunter Rise.
How could we forget?
Monster Hunter Rise is one of my favorite Switch games. I still need to finish it.
Dang. Yeah.
I've held back to play with friends.
New Pokemon Snap.
New Pokemon Snap. Thank you.
gosh.
Jeez, yeah. Both
Jeez.
crazy releases. Crazy releases. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
Nuts.
We got a good early part of the year. I remember that was kind of part of why we thought it was going to be one of the best years, because we saw that early year lineup, and we were like, dang, with Breath of the Wild definitely coming out that year, this is going to be a banger year. 2021 is still great, but it wasn't quite up to the 2017 levels we were expecting. Definitely way better than 2018 or 2020 though, by a long shot.
What came out after Pokemon Snap in April?
I'm looking at different things. I know we got Mario Golf at some point.
Yeah, in the summer.
Yeah. WarioWare, when was that? I think that was late.
That was late.
Super Monkey Ball, when was that?
Late.
Oh, okay.
I'm
No More
trying
Heroes,
to look at the
that
list.
was later.
Those are all second half games. Second half was big deal.
Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Second
Still
half.
second half.
Yeah. I'm looking at a list right now to see if I can kind of like...
I'm looking at the list, but it's just telling me the years. That's all I mean.
That's fine. If I see the game, I'll know. I just need to see it.
Like, I see the game and I won't know.
Most. I'm sure there's some exceptions. Let's see.
When did
Miitopia came out in May. Game Builder Garage was summer. Super Rush was summer. Skyward Sword HD came out in July.
Yep.
Okay, so some cool stuff.
When
We got
did
that HD
PJ
remaster of Skyward
Masks
Sword.
Hero of the Night release, eh?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But the second half of the year was also pretty solid. WarioWare was pretty good. We were gonna get Advance Wars, but that was delayed. But still, we got Metroid Dread, the first Metroid game in years, and it's gonna be the best-selling Metroid game ever, and it won Best Action Adventure at the Game Awards, and it's awesome. So yeah, and it was also like Nintendo's most marketed game.
Yeah, which
Nintendo
was really
do.
surprising.
Right, they did that, and an interesting thing to point out is that Metroid Dread, Mario Party Superstars, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining and Pearl, and Shin Megami Tensei 5 all came out within a 6-week period of each other.
Thing.
So for those worried that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet means there won't be Zelda or anything else major coming out during the holiday, you're wrong. There'll be something. Now, it may not be Breath of the Wild 2. We don't know. But there will be more than just Pokemon Scarlet and Violet coming out in 2022. If the first half of the year is anything to go by, how there's multiple months, there's big Nintendo games, Nintendo's not going to only have one major game come out during the holiday. They don't do that.
Right.
There's going to be more. Yeah, so 2021 ended up being a pretty solid year, but to your point, not the year of years, right? It was definitely,
It's definitely comparable to 2019.
Yeah, it was comparable. I don't know if I would. Yeah, it's tough. That's tough. I would put 2019 above it, maybe. Like,
honestly,
Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, Pokemon Sword and Shield. One's an outsourced remake. One's a brand new generation. I would side with Sword and Shield, right? Luigi's Mansion 3.
I don't care about either of those games.
Luigi's Mansion 3 maybe compared to hype levels like to Metroid Dread. Luigi's Mansion 3 sold more, so so it's that. Mario Party Superstars, big deal, definitely a big deal. But there's also Fire Emblem Three Houses, and Astral Chain and Mario Maker 2. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough, but I think I would side with 2019. But still, it's pretty solid.
Yeah. Luigi's Mansion 3 is like,
yeah,
perfection.
Right. And that's pretty much us getting through the 5 years. Almost. Because there was another big game that came out before the whole anniversary of Switch, which would be this March. March 3rd is the anniversary. And for Breath of the Wild as well. There's one major game that came out that hasn't been discussed yet. And that's Pokemon Legends Arceus. Another Pokemon game 2 months after Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. but is pretty good. It is showing signs of being the best-selling Pokemon game yet, or one of them. It's going to sell better than a lot of games. Now, granted, with Scarlet and Violet, it's probably going to impact the sales, which again makes me question why they rushed it. But we'll see how things pan out. Either way, Legends Arceus is performing really well. It's getting a lot more people into Pokemon that wouldn't be otherwise. And it's different, so it's also maybe scaring away some fans. But overall, it seems to be performing really well. And it's just a fun, awesome game. I'm still enjoying it. I haven't beat it entirely yet. There's like a lot of post-game stuff. And it's just a very interesting
a game
way.
that showed that Pokemon, or rather Game Freak, I almost said Pokemon Company.
Yeah.
Game Freak here. Let's be clear, there's a big distinction. But it's the first time that they showed signs that they can significantly evolve the type of game that they're creating, even for a main series game.
Right.
It was the biggest leap forward that they'd ever made by far. And not just in terms of, there's a bit of open world stuff here, but no, it was like, guess what? Capturing outside of battles, that's a possibility. Guess what? When you fight, you don't go into a different separate area. No, you're right there in the world. That's where you're battling. And hey, guess what? Now you can move around while you're battling too. Like, they came out with stuff that just blew ahead in terms of what a Pokemon game could be. And I think that was a very big deal for the series.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's been a very big deal. And now you look at Scarlet and Violet, it just looks like it's evolving beyond that, right? Like taking that as a base and evolving beyond that. I know I mentioned Metroid Dread multiple times throughout this discussion, but let me just clarify. Metroid Dread is absolutely the highlight of 2021 for me. Just let me make that clear. That is my game of the year. It was my game of 2021.
That's the biggest game for Nintendo. I think Nintendo considers that the biggest game of the year for them, right? In terms of marketing.
Yeah, and the significance of Metroid Dread is that it's revitalized the Metroid brand, and it's put the brand in a position where they can kind of build on that momentum. And we're seeing Retro Studios with that weird concept art. There are the rumors of Prime Remastered, and hopefully we see Prime 4 not too long from now. Like, Metroid's in a position where it can become pretty prominent. And even if it doesn't, like, obtain, like, Luigi's Mansion or Zelda sales or something like that, like, the fact that now Metroid Dread is sold over 3 million, basically, that puts it at least in the stratosphere of Fire Emblem and Xenoblade. And guess what's so great about those series, besides them being great? They come out with frequency. They come out every 2 to 3 years. So if Metroid has proven that it can sell that well at least, well then, guess what? Probably going to get more Metroid games. So we did it. We won, Metroid fans. More Metroids on the way. There we go.
We did it, gamers.
Yeah. But that pretty much brings us to today, right? Like, I know people are starting to play Bravely, not Triangle Strategy, which is seeming to be very interesting. Kirby seemed to be very interesting. And then we look forward to the rest of the year. Like, there's some pretty good games. We're getting Mario Kart DLC. We're getting Nintendo Switch Sports, Mario Strikers, Fire Emblem 3 Hopes, all awesome products. Advance Wars, I almost missed that. Splatoon 3 is coming out in the summer. Technically, Bayonetta 3 is slated for 2022, as is Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, as is Breath of the Wild 2. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will come out this year, and it's slated for September. And Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the very first fully official open world Pokemon game, is coming out this year as well. And there may be a few other things, maybe Metroid Prime Remaster. 2022, if there's going to be a year that beats 2017, it's going to be 2022.
Yeah, man.
If there's going to be a year, because I don't know. All those games would have to come out, and even then, it would be a contest.
It would be a
fun contest.
We don't know how certain titles will stack up, but
right. How are they going to sell? How fun are they going to be?
Big gap is like we don't have a 3D Mario, like a new 3D Mario there.
Right, but instead we have an open world Pokemon game, so kind of
right.
I feel like that.
We got something else.
Actually, there's like 2 major Pokemon games, so that kind of helps their case there. You know, it helps a lot. Helps a lot. So, I'll take a few questions, and and then we'll close things out. I'm getting tired. My eyes are getting heavy. I don't know if you guys can tell. I did say I would do 90 to 120 minutes. We are at almost the 120-minute mark. Game walkthroughs added me. What do you think is the future of 2D Mario? I think 2D Mario is done. I don't think there will ever be any more 2D Mario games ever again. I think you should just give up. I'm kidding. I am totally kidding. I do not mean that at all. I think 2D Mario is alive and well, and there will be another 2D Mario. And it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle that, though. Because I do... excuse me. I do feel like they've put themselves in an interesting corner. Because, one, they did the new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe thing. Which, that's easy to follow up on. But it's hard to follow up when you have Mario Maker 2, where you can kind of just make whatever 2D Mario level you want. So they need to make a 2D Mario game that has so many unique things and elements and ideas and worlds there that it varies so vastly from anything that can be accomplished in Mario Maker. Does that make sense?
Right.
That's what I kind of think
they just need to do something that's actually new, please.
Yeah, and don't put new in the name. Don't put new in the name to make it feel new. That's why that's actually why I was making fun of NSMBU earlier, because it has not only is the name long, but they call them new, and they're the most cookie cutter 2D Mario games we've ever seen. They're like the least inspired out of all the 2D Mario games. They're fine games, but like.
They're fine.
I wish they would do something more, which is exciting about the potential next 2D Mario game, because this potential next 2D Mario game, which, you know what, I'll predict, we're going to get a new 2D Mario on base Switch. It may release on both platforms, but I think that makes more sense to expect a new 2D Mario before we get a new 3D Mario, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah.
I honestly think that we might see a new 3D Mario next holiday.
I don't have glasses.
In time for Switch 2?
Maybe? Yeah. It doesn't seem like Mario Kart's going to be ready. Or Zelda,
like holiday 2023 or holiday 2024. I think that's when we're going to see the next 3D Mario. It's just been so long. I feel like they got to be getting near ready. And I feel like there's no reason to launch it a year before. I don't know. I
mean, 3D Mario and 2D Mario is so different. You gotta both come out in the same year.
Yeah.
I mean, Pokemon Company is doing Legends Arceus, and they're gonna do Scarlet and Violet. So if they can get away with that, Nintendo can get away with 2D Mario.
2D Mario games
within 4 months of each other. Yeah. So like, we'll see what they do. You could be right though. Maybe 3D Mario comes out before 2D Mario, but I feel like we're overdue for a brand new 2D Mario game, especially if you don't count Mario Maker 2 as brand new 2D Mario. Yeah, we're overdue for that, and I think if the way they'll have to handle it would be a very unique experience. I am seeing people, like Kitano Tots is talking about maybe taking inspiration from Donkey Kong Country. I'm glad you brought that up though, because there is supposed to be a Donkey Kong game. So maybe we don't get 2D Mario, we get Donkey Kong, which I'm totally okay with. Yeah.
Much rather than that.
Mario Kart's asking, Super Mario Maker 3 or Super Mario Galaxy 3? That's easy. Mario Galaxy 3. No question. Although, honestly, Super Mario Maker 3, if that was like a 3D Mario Maker, I would think about that.
Unless it's a Mario Galaxy that's like some sort of open sandbox Mario Galaxy, I don't want one. So, give me Super Mario Maker 3, because that means that they're not working on Galaxy 3, which means they're probably working on Mario Odyssey 2. Which but
the Maker series is from at least from the first two. They make 2D Mario games, the Mario Makers. But what's interesting though, because we didn't bring it up, but in 2021 last year they also came out with Game Builder Garage, which is a way to like build your own games within a Switch software, and they're simple. But you can make platforming games, very Mario-esque. What if they were to take that idea in Mario Maker and like smash them, and it's 3D Mario Maker, aka Mario Maker 3. So it's a Mario Maker, but it's making 3D Mario games.
I mean,
I would definitely consider that over Galaxy 3. But if it's just more 2D Mario stuff, I mean, there's already a lot you can do in Mario Maker 2. So I don't even know if that's necessary.
Again, I just don't want Mario Galaxy 3, so I don't want the 3D team to be working on that. So that's the only reason I won't pick it.
I want them to push forward.
Yeah.
Do something new. A guy you don't know said, same here. Metro did honestly made the rest of 2021 for me. Yeah, it was amazing. Amazing. Jazzy Waffles. How many of their own games do you think Nintendo has yet to reveal for this year? I'm thinking 4 or more Nintendo games. Some DLC for maybe Mario Party and a new NSO console.
Whoa, Fred. Slow down.
I don't know. I mean, I think we wait another year before we get another NSO platform. They could add Game Boy, but like I don't think they have a need because right now they have so much to fill out with their current platforms. I don't think they need to add anything
really until Mario Kart DLC ends. To be honest, they could wait till they could easily wait till next year and then just have that keeping you through till pretty much the end of 2024.
I don't know.
They usually update that in about September.
I could see them adding.
To resubmit on September, which is probably about when Mario Kart will end next year, going off of like how Smash was.
You think you don't think they're gonna add any more DLC to NSO?
Sure. I think they will. I just
like
don't
before
think they
Mario
need
Kart.
to add a new. Oh, before Mario Kart ends?
No, I think they will.
Unless there's like, I don't see why they would. I'm trying to figure out what game that I'm thinking they're going to release that would be that. Because like Splatoon 3, I could see expansion, but not till like 2024.
I could see them adding 3 DLCs per year. Like basically every time there's a direct, they announce one.
Maybe. Do they come out with that many paid expansions that often?
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe Breath of the Wild 2 will be the next one. Maybe. But even then, wouldn't be till like sometime in 2023 late.
Or maybe they have it for Nintendo Switch Sports.
Maybe.
You know,
we already have 3 updates planned for that, but I don't know. They could, but I'm
talking about afterwards. But it might not be the next one. It might be like next year. There's options. That's a whole other discussion, though. But in terms of more games, I think Metroid Prime Remaster is one of them. I wouldn't be surprised if there is like a 2D Mario or something Mario announced. There's probably at least another sort of weird thing from the eShop. I feel like we were pretty good at rap.
I don't think there were 4 like major Nintendo games.
No, yeah. I think pretty much everything that's confirmed, we'll be lucky if all of that makes it out this year. So basically beyond Metroid Prime Remaster, I'm not like thinking anything else. I mean, I could see maybe like one more like Nintendo game that's like not from a major series. Like maybe we see F-Zero or Wave Race, for example. Hey man, the Switch is where the dreams happen. So we just got Mario Strikers. Anything's possible. It doesn't even have to be that. It could be Golden Sun. It could be Kid Icarus. It could be Earthbound. Something. I'm not talking like a major AAA open world experience, but like something.
There's work on a new GoldenEye remake or something.
I forget. It's not a remake. It would just be GoldenEye. It might be remastered somewhat, but I think it's just GoldenEye. And that just GoldenEye coming to Nintendo would be a big deal because of all the licensing issues.
Oh yeah, there's that rumor, but I heard a different thing.
Oh. Well, yeah, I think that it's because there's talk of them remastering GoldenEye for Game Pass, I think.
Okay,
so that might be it. Maybe. I could be confused here, but that's what
I don't know exactly what it is either. So
yeah. Joycey J, any predictions on when you think we'll get Splatoon 3 test fire? I'm so excited for just a glimpse. Will make me happy. I kind of think that we'll get another update on Splatoon 3 before E3. I'm kind of feeling that. And I think they could.
I don't think they'll wait till E3 to announce the release date and stuff.
Do you think they'll wait that long?
No, I'm saying they won't wait that long.
Yeah, because if it's a summer release, I think they give us that information before. Especially if they have other things to talk about, like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and Breath of the Wild 2, and Bayonetta 3, and Scarlet and Violet will definitely at least take up some of the treehouse. So
Yeah.
not saying Splatoon 3 won't also be there, but I could see a situation where Splatoon 3 is discussed beforehand. It depends what point. Like if it's a July release, I think they need to do it before E3. If it's an August release, they can wait. You know,
I mean,
because if E3's in June, they could have the test fire in July or late June. It depends.
They could wait till E3 and just have it like the week after E3 or something.
Yeah, they could. They
Announce
really
the
could.
release date.
It could be like
it
could even be it could happen on the weekend of, like, or right after. Like, hey, you want the E3 experience? Here, play Splatoon 3 at home during the weekend. Like, they can do that.
Yeah. Be like, hey, I know you're seeing a lot of coverage of Splatoon, but guess what? You also can play Splatoon. Probably not the same weekend because they can't schedule out times to have a test fire open when you're supposed to be watching other events. But like, hey, you can play it yourself in just 1 week next weekend or something like that.
Yeah. Hollow West is saying June is too late for news on Splatoon 3. Splatoon 2 test fire was announced in February and it was in March.
Yeah, but Splatoon was...
It really just...
It's a completely different situation, just as
for
when it was
perspective,
announced and everything.
the Nintendo Switch Sports had a stress test just like a week or two ago, and it's coming out next month. So, now, I don't know. I mean, it's Splatoon versus Nintendo Switch Sports. So, yeah, I mean, you could argue Switch Sports not as big of a deal, but I think it has potential to be.
Was like not that long beforehand. It was like 2 months or something.
Yeah.
The original game. And then they had another one that was like 3 weeks before.
I need to look up like the dates for them.
But no, as long as it's like at least like a month and a half before, I think it's fine enough.
Well, so yeah, to Hollis' point, the test fire, I guess, was announced February. It came out March, and the game released May. So Splatoon 3 is looking like a later year release, right? So let's say, assuming they hold this same sort of thing, let's say it comes out August. If it comes out August, the test fire would be in June. They announce it in May, when Nintendo announces their E3 plans. So if it's in August, if it's coming out in July, they announce it before E3. Which is kind of goes back to the point I was making earlier. It depends when in the summer it's coming out. If it's coming out early to midsummer, maybe that announcement happens before E3. If it's happening late summer, they could do it around or at E3, the announcement.
I honestly don't.
Or at least they could have the test fire
if it comes in July or August. I think there's plenty of time for them.
I'm just assuming based off the pattern by the Splatoon 2 test fire. That's all I'm talking about.
Right.
Splatoon 2 test fire was announced 1 month. The next month came out. They skip 1 month. The game comes out after that. So, 4-month window there. We'll see. We'll see how they handle that. I'm thinking it's a late summer release, though, just because we already have June with 2 major game releases. Although we don't know about July.
It's very odd
it's
that
July or August.
The release date. Just like tell us the release date.
Yeah.
They're definitely going to tell us that before E3. Just like I feel like they have to.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. Guy you don't know, Adam. NSMU came out late 2012, so we're definitely overdue for a brand new 2D Mario game, but I hope Nintendo takes the time to make it fresh and exciting. Absolutely. That I think that's what we all want. We want a new 2D Mario.
What's the team that makes
that's like
2D Mario?
Unique stuff. Nintendo EPD something. There's like 14 Nintendo EPDs. Or 13.
I have a feeling they haven't been working on 2D Mario.
They've been working on Donkey Kong.
Yeah, boy.
And 2D Mario.
Yeah, I don't know. I just have a feeling that at least not since 2012 has there been a 2D Mario game in development. Like, they did not go from New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe Wii U and straight into active development for the next two. Like, that didn't happen, obviously. And I don't know if they're even in active development now. I'm sure they have projects and things that they're looking into, ideas that they're workshopping constantly, but I don't know if active development for 2D Mario even exists right now. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't.
I don't know. Keep in mind,
So
there's
like
a Mario,
Nintendo's
there's a
waiting for a
Mario
better
movie
idea.
supposed to come out at the end of this year. I feel like they should have something Mario. I'm not saying it has to come out this year. I'm just saying there should be something Mario nearby, and it could be 3D Mario. But to your point, I feel like that's a holiday thing for next year. I could see them having both almost ready. So we'll see.
It's possible.
I have a hard time believing that we'll not see another 2D Mario. Like I just have a hard time believing that.
I just have a feeling that they are trying to find an idea that makes it unique, because I don't think the reception, like, it sells well.
And I guess to my point, they've put themselves in a
terrible.
corner with 2D Mario because of the Maker series. So, you know,
I feel like the Maker series is just like mostly. It's just an older. Like, imagine saying that if they made a 3D Mario Maker before Odyssey came out, and saying that like they backed themselves in a corner. It's like, no, because there's so many possibilities that they could do that have nothing to do, that just fully blow.
You know what I would love to see, actually? If there's a new 2D Mario, I don't want it to be in 3D. I want it to be like Shovel Knight, Ori kind of visuals.
Okay.
Well, Ori's like
those
3D-esque.
are completely different type of visuals.
Yeah, you're right.
Ori is a hand-drawn style 2D artwork.
I'm just talking about, I don't want them to just straight up use polygons.
Okay.
I want them to use some sort of painterly, artistic sort of style. And yes, Shovel Knight. Did I say Shovel Knight? I meant Hollow Knight. That's like I got them confused. Hollow Knight, Ori. I'm not saying they look the same. They're very different, but they're also very clearly a very artistic, painterly, more.
They're both hand-drawn games.
Animated kind of style. Yeah,
they use 2D sprites for everything. There's no. I think actually Ori's model might be 3D. But essentially,
it presents itself.
Most of the assets are 2D.
Yeah.
And they're actually 2D assets. It's not just from a 2D perspective.
I would like to see a Mario that's like something along those lines. Like, imagine if there was just like a fully. It's almost like watching like a cartoon, or like Cuphead, bro. Like, there's so much potential there. You know, there's so much potential there, and that would be super cool. And heck, maybe even has co-op Mario and Luigi, like that. That sounds really good, you know. Man, that'd be sick.
I feel like if they did that, they'd be like, oh, just Paper Mario style. It's like only flat Paper Mario style. There you go. That's what you need. No, I wouldn't want that. But I don't know. I'm just trying to think of what style they would go for. Is if it's not pixel art, it's just like 2D art. They've never done that for Mario, other than Paper Mario stuff.
Imagine if it's like watching like a cartoon in motion, but not Cuphead exactly, because that's like old Disney. But you know, something to that effect.
Wait, you want them to look like the Mario cartoon?
No, not quite that either.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, like old Walt Disney.
You remember
stuff,
in New Super Mario Brothers U, there is one world that is very painterly like.
A Starry Night themed, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, maybe something like that.
It'd be cool.
Yeah.
That was like my favorite level design for those games, because the only one that actually is any sort of
pretty awesome, right?
Uniqueness to it. It's pretty great.
Yeah. So,
but I'm more interested in what they're going to do with 2D Zelda in the future than I am 2D Mario, to be honest.
Well, at least we've seen something for 2D Zelda compared to... We've seen more of 2D Zelda. I don't know. That's debatable.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a remake instead of a port, so...
It's easier to envision a 2D Zelda than it is a 2D Mario. I think.
I guess. I think it's just that we haven't seen a stale, generic, like, push for 2D Zelda lately. Like,
I think the other thing, though, is I think Nintendo knows that 2D Mario and 2D Zelda won't sell as well as 3D Mario and 3D Zelda, which is interesting Because at least for
2D
the Mario series, it was the other way
probably
around.
more. Yeah.
But I mean, now 3D
Maybe not
Mario is the
now.
best-selling Mario game on the Switch, besides Mario Kart, obviously.
Yeah. Well, New Super Mario Bros. U was like kind of everybody. I feel like every core Nintendo fan was like, "Screw this! This is garbage." It still sold ridiculously well. So if they made a 2D Mario that people actually like thought was good, imagine how much that would sell.
Yeah. And Super Chris, yeah, I don't remember the name, but I guess it was Painted Swampland from NSMBU. Yep. And that's right, Joycey J. There is a Mario movie coming. That's right, Mario Kart. There is a Mario movie on the way. It's coming this year, supposedly. So that may get announced. I mean, it's been announced, but maybe we get a trailer. Could be at E3, could be before. But that's coming. But anyways, I feel like, we've covered a lot today. I think we kind of did a good job sort of like summing things up and kind of getting us to the current time now. It'll be interesting to see how we sort of talk about things a year from now once we see how 2022 shakes out. Because so many things that can happen.
When
It's
we're
crazy.
here this time next year crying because Breath of the Wild 2 still isn't coming out.
No way.
Hopefully not.
No
Hopefully
way.
not. Hopefully not.
Like, I mean, at least it'll be out in March, right? You would hope.
You would hope.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening, or however you chose to consume this discussion show. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Maybe join as a member if you're interested. And make sure to check out Brandon's video, which is linked in the description below. But that's all for now, everyone. Take care. See you later.
Bye, guys.